All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel, our SEC basketball Saturday bets. A new thing we're going to start doing here as we head towards the stretch run of college basketball season with Brian Edwards joining us, our man, Brian Edwards, feeling pretty good these days about a certain basketball team in the SEC, but Brian's got some bets he's going to throw down today, Max, on some of these, because we always talk about it. Like when we make our bets and we reference FanDuel and all this other stuff, we're like, the best bet you can have is the one where you bet against me and Max. And
Probably.
so that is how we look at it, Brian.
For the NFL playoffs, bet against me so far. Wow. It's been a rough one.
So what you're saying is the Patriots are terrible, Max. That's what I heard Brian say.
No, I'm saying CJ Stroud is ass.
I have zero confidence the Pats do anything this weekend. Zero confidence. But that's a story for another show.
All right, Brian, let's start with this game. I know this is one you had circled for more reasons than just the Florida Gators. But Florida and Auburn, we talked about this game this week. Remember, we are going to kind of angle this with bets. FanDuel doesn't have their lines out yet, but you can kind of read between the lines on some of these and have an idea of what it's going to be. But Florida, Auburn here, Brian. The Gators have been fantastic. Auburn, an excellent offensive team. What are you kind of looking at in this one?
So, before Jay and I do our show, which is either Wednesday or Thursday, we're always looking ahead to Saturday's games. And I write down my lines. And I wrote down for Auburn at Florida, I wrote Florida 12.5 or 13. And Auburn has traditionally struggled on the road. And obviously they got their first road win at Ole Miss earlier this week, which, Ole Miss have been playing pretty good. So that was a nice performance. It was Tuesday, so plenty of time in between, but it's a back-to-back road situation for Auburn. And Auburn has had, even despite all the success during Bruce Pearl's tenure, and not that they play at Florida every year, but do you guys have any idea the last time Auburn's won at the O-Dome? If you haven't uncovered the stat this week?
It's got to be at least 3 years.
Blake?
I know it's not in the last two.
It's got to be a while. I would say maybe 15 years.
96.
Wow.
They have lost 15 in a row in Gainesville. 11 of those 15 losses by 12 or more. 10 of the losses by 16 or more. But really, that doesn't really have anything to do with the handicaps. Certainly when Florida's going to be laying a big number. But we've seen a couple of early lines from some early books, and they're not. The line is 9.5. So when my line is off by, 3 or 3.5 points, that tells me who I like. Because, I was probably, even Jay and I said on the pod with Jay that I would probably lay up to 11, maybe even 12. And so obviously I like Florida a lot at minus 9.5. Now it's my opinion that we're not going to have a chance because, I don't have a chance to bet these games till later tonight. I doubt I'm going to be able to get 9.5. But for our listeners, if they're seeing this tonight or tomorrow, I would probably lay up to 11, possibly 12. Florida's won 5 in a row, but straight up and against the spread. And they've won 4 of those by 15 or more. And I think, all year, Florida, or most of the year, Florida's got poor guard play. But Boogie has started to turn it on. He had really good back-to-back games. And really, I don't need Boogie. In my mind, Boogie doesn't need to be scoring 20 points a game. Just get the double figures, get 2 or 3 layups a game, get 5 or 6 free throws. Even his poor 3-point accuracy doesn't really bother me that much because Klopsar's shooting it well. Lee's starting to come on, but I think a huge development, certainly in the long term for Florida, is the emergence of Zay Brown as, a fourth guard. I mean, he can play the 3 too, but he's really coming on these last 2 or 3 games. You can tell he's gaining confidence and playing smart. And I'm liking the Gators a lot. Now, Auburn, like I said, is off a good performance, but traditionally struggles on the road, especially at this venue. So I'm going to be all over the Gators tomorrow.
Max, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I agree with all of it. And I think the only worry I have there is kind of that Auburn home performance against Arkansas, where physically they played fantastic. And, through SEC play, number 2 in the league in offensive rebounding, number 2 in the league in defensive rebounding. Now that has to go a little bit with who they've played. A&M, not a good rebounding team. South Carolina and Ole Miss, both not good rebounding teams and such. But I do think there is maybe an angle where the rebounding margin is pretty close. But that's the Auburn front court playing at their absolute ceiling. That was the best game the Auburn front court had played all year, and it was at home. So if this thing is at Neville, I'd have a completely different opinion. But with it being on the road, and you're gonna need a perfect performance from Murphy and Jovic for this rebounding battle to stay similar. And I don't know if they can do that.
And those guys not getting foul trouble.
Exactly. There's a lot of things going against the Auburn front court. They are capable. They've shown it, but they haven't really shown it on the road yet.
Yeah. All right. This next game, which I know Sam in the chat will have plenty to say about, probably not in favor of his Vols since he is not very pleased with Tennessee right now. But, Tennessee at Alabama. Another big story on this one is Charles Bediako, which Max and I have had our thoughts on over the past day or so, and anyone on the channel can go back and watch our thoughts on that, including Max's pick, which is a very unique pick for this game in our predictions video. But my prediction was that Alabama wins on a Charles Bediako tip-in at the buzzer, just to completely set the chaos in motion, Brian. But what are you looking at here with the Vols and the Tide?
Yeah, I'm liking the Tide here. Not really necessarily the Bediako factor, although, I mean, he probably gets 8 to 12 minutes and probably blocks a shot or two and rebounds 5 and is, has some fouls to give without, your main guys getting in foul trouble. And, it doesn't hurt. Certainly doesn't hurt. But, so I wrote down 5.5 for this game. And, we're looking at 3.5 now. So I think the edge is with Bama. Now, Bama has not been, perfect at home this year. Obviously, the loss to Purdue and also fell at home to Texas, and what was a surprise. Now, they had some health issues that game that they're not as banged up right now. But Tennessee 0-3. Both straight up and against the spread on the road. They haven't been very good against the spread this year, 6-12. Not that Bama's been a whole lot better at 8-10. But, Tennessee, they lose by 24. At Florida, they lose by 11. At Arkansas, and they only lost by 2 at Syracuse. But I want to say they were favored by like 7 that game. Now, they were coming off of being out in Hawaii, so I didn't really expect them to play that great in that game, but and Syracuse isn't that bad. But anywho, I'm liking Bama here. I think I'll lay the 3.5. I would probably lay 4 if the line moves up. I would definitely not lay any more than 5. I might consider 4.5 or 5. So Bama's the pick for me.
Yeah, we mentioned to Max how close some of these games have been, and I can always bring up the stat. I'm like, Alabama, whatever that was yesterday, I mentioned, like, hasn't scored over 78 points against Tennessee or whatever since 2008, I think it is. Which, of course, again, like, does go beyond the Rick Barnes era, but it's just kind of one of those where some reason Tennessee's always kind of kept Alabama kind of at a certain number there. And so, any additional thoughts on this one, Max, since yesterday, since we talked about it?
Yeah, we did get a report from Goodman that, honestly, just about an hour ago was reported that Latrell Wrightsell will be back. He had missed 3 games in a row with the groin injury that kind of has been looped into his torn ACL from last year, kind of, working back from that. Or not torn. Did I say ACL? Torn Achilles. Kind of working back from that. His O rating has been way down the past 2 years at Alabama. His offensive efficiency was one of the best in the entire country, up at like above 130. And this year, through 10 games, it's at 103. So you can definitely tell he's been hampered by this Achilles. I was talking with Nate Oates Burner, big Alabama fan on social media, and I say, do we have any example of a athlete coming back 1 year removed from a torn Achilles where they come back and just pick right up where they left off?
Right.
Seems like every athlete, that comes off that torn Achilles is really struggling. But if you were wondering, 3.5, does it get pushed out to maybe 4.5, 5? I think Wrightsell might be worth a point on the spread. He's senior leader for this team, a good perimeter defender, another body.
Yeah, I don't think they should rush him back, man. I mean, look, he's one of the best shooters in the country, and he's shooting 32.8% from the field, 26.9 from three. I mean, get him right. So he's good to go in late February and early March. So if he's not fully ready, I would not rush him at all. But and like Max said, he's also one of the SEC's best perimeter defenders, but he's just not been that guy yet this year.
Do you have any opinion on the total here? High total up at about 166, 167.
Well, I'm never against an over with a Nate Oates team. I'm usually against it with a Rick Barnes team, but they've had some high scoring games this year. I mean, it wasn't into the 160s, but a 158 with Kentucky the other night. A 158 with Florida a couple weeks ago, and an 86-75 with Arkansas. So that Tennessee hasn't been the grinder type team that they normally. I mean, they're 14th in KenPom in defensive efficiency. They're usually in the top 3 to 5, if not number 1 in that category every year. And they're 41 in offensive efficiency and 94 in average possession length. I feel like they're normally in the 180s or worse with their average possession length, going back years past, and maybe not even in the top 40 offensive efficiency. So I'm not against, I'm normally against an over with Tennessee, but no, not necessarily. I would say over or pass. I'm not saying I like the over, but never against one with Nate Oates. And Tennessee, I just recognize this. Number 1 in offensive rebounding percentage. I wonder what Florida is. They got to be top 5.
Oh, yeah, Florida's 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to kind of put into perspective real quick, the Tennessee defense and what it's been the past few years, the rankings that KenPom does for defensive efficiency, it's based on your points per 100 possessions, say offense and defense. It's the amount of points you would score through 100 possessions. And so what Tennessee was allowing, so this is going to start at 2021, so the last 6 years here, including this one. In 2021, 88 points per 100 possessions. And I'll just go up. 2022, 86. 2023, 87. 2 years ago, 90. Last year, 89.7. This year, 97.4.
Yeah.
So compared to the previous 4 or 5 years where they're letting up every year about 88 to 90 points per 100 possessions, this year it's way up at about 97.5. So it has dropped a good amount compared to the last few years.
And they're still 14th in the country.
Exactly.
So that shows how nasty they are on a year-to-year basis. Defensively.
Yeah.
The other game I know you had circled here, Brian, before we hop off, the LSU and Arkansas. One of the only 2 night games right now because of the way they've shifted the schedule around. Tennessee at Alabama is 7:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. LSU at Arkansas is 7:30 p.m. Central on SEC Network. They moved a lot of these other games up where you've got 4 games starting at noon Central or earlier now. But this one, I mean, the Hogs have been, at home. Max and I said, I don't know why you would ever pick against them at home right now. And you got an LSU team that has still been right there in all these games, seemingly, except for, the Florida game, which, again, I think Florida would do that to most teams in the SEC right now. Curious what your thoughts are on this one and maybe where we think this line kind of gets to just based on how good Arkansas has been. And LSU's record is not good, but, again, they've kind of kept it close here in a lot of these types of games.
I made Arkansas 13. KenPom had the number at 9. I haven't seen any early line, but I haven't looked in like a half hour. I haven't seen an early line for this one, but kind of the same approach with Florida. I'm thinking 11 or 12 or fewer. I would probably lay 11 or 12. I mean, I hope I only have to lay 9. I hope Ken Palm's right on it. But like you were noting, Arkansas has just been a wagon at home. They're undefeated in 11 games. They're 9-2 against the spread, and a lot of those numbers were double-digit spreads. And just here in SEC play, you beat Vandy by 25 at home. You beat South Carolina by 34 at home. You beat Tennessee by 11 at home. I don't know that they really. Oh, and then Louisville, they only beat them by 9, but weren't they up like 17 or 18 at halftime? I know Louisville rallied, and I think they even cut it 2 or 3 there late. But Arkansas at home, 12 or fewer. I'll be on the Razorbacks.
Max, any thoughts have changed on what we thought about this one yesterday?
No, they're the best team at home against the spread. They're the most dominant team against projection right now at home. I mentioned before the LSU Florida game, I said this is an LSU team with a solid front court and they don't get punked around. And if this thing's close, maybe don't be surprised because this LSU team's got some older physical guys. And Florida just went in there and steamrolled them. So
24 offensive rebounds.
Steamrolled them. Absolutely steamrolled them. I'm not sure what to expect now with Dean Thomas. He was playing like an all-SEC candidate before the injury. He came back and looked like the opposite of an all-SEC candidate. So it's, how much is this injury affecting him? He's kind of the ticker for the offense. So LSU is kind of a wild card for me right now. I need to see how Thomas settles back in and how they respond because Blake, we're going to go through the whole year and we're going to say, well, yeah, they got steamrolled. Well, it was Florida. Okay. So did half the league. So it's like, it's tough to judge after you get the Florida game.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Anything else, Brian, before we hop off? Again, we're going to have some fun with this the rest of the way. I think these will be kind of fun, quick sort of insightful things into these games. Again, we'll do some of this for the midweek too, but what should be a wild Saturday in SEC basketball for a variety of reasons, whether it's the Bediako storyline, whether it's how many people are in the gym for some of these games. It's plenty to work with. So
I'll just say I'm not saying I'd like these teams to cover, and we don't even know the lines yet. We just know the Ken Palm. But if any of our listeners like to do money line parlays with home favorites, I think Texas A&M and Missouri will win tomorrow. I'm not saying they'll cover, but Missouri at home to OU, A&M at home to South Carolina. And I don't know that, because Florida and Arkansas will be so expensive. Some books my name, give it a money line, but you could add Florida and Arkansas and a money line parlay with Mizzou and Texas A&M. Probably not looking at a great payout, maybe barely above even money. It'll be a little bit of a plus, but those home favorites there, I think, definitely went out right. And other than that, I don't know who was officiating when you went to a Vandy game with T, but he's not a big fan of Doug Shouse. Not a big fan. He had a lot of words for Doug Shouse last Saturday afternoon.
I am willing to bet that Doug Shouse probably getting that treatment many places he goes in the SEC right now. So it's probably not an unusual thing when it comes to that. We don't have our refereeing assignments yet for the weekend, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of people locked into those. So we can see what that looks like on Saturday. But all right, you guys in the chat. Yep, I was going to say real quickly, Max, you guys in the chat, if you want to throw in a question, comment, throw in a super chat, and don't forget about our fine sponsors and Collar, andcollar.com, SEC 16 for 16% off over there. Great menswear, pants, quarter zips, button-ups, polos, suits. They got it all. Head over there, SEC 16, 16% off over there, and ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. The world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting, SEC 25, 25% off over at ROKFORM.
And thanks for my SEC 16 gear. I would have worn my hat, but I'm just out of the shower. Hey, Max, you watched? Didn't I have the SEC?
You had the hoodie on. Yep.
Yeah, I had the hoodie on yesterday. Okay, I thought so.
Oh yeah. Hey, before we hop off, there are 3 national top 25 games on Saturday, and we're going to be starting to talk a little bit more about some
will.
national stuff as we inch closer to March here. Any opinions, and it's okay if you don't, any opinions on 3 early lines here? Number 22, North Carolina plays at Virginia, early spread, Virginia -6.5. Game number 2 featured the top 25 matchups. Number 6, Houston is at number 12, Texas Tech. Might be the game of the entire week for college basketball. Houston on the road, -3.5 early line. And then also could be game of the week for college basketball. Number 11, Illinois goes to number 4, Purdue, coming off of a midweek loss at UCLA. Early line, Purdue -2.5. It's okay if you don't have any opinions on those, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
The last one's one I have, the only one I have an opinion on. I love Purdue -2.5 in bounce back mode off the loss to UCLA, and with Kylan Boswell out for Illinois. He averages 14.3 points, 4.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists. He broke his hand. Was it hand? Yeah, I think it was hand on at Monday's practice. Is going to be out a month. Big loss for the Illini. Love Purdue -2.5 there.
Nice.
All right. There you go, guys. And yeah, I mean, I think Chance brings up like what Cal said, if you can't make it, transfer your tickets to the universities and then get more students in the gym for the games. Yeah, I assume they're going to have that situation maybe at a couple places. I mean, I don't know what Starkville. I feel like they're probably going to get hit with stuff, but I mean, they're playing that game early against Vanderbilt. Don't know what that looks like. I mean, it's pretty much
these games are going to be played, Blake.
I mean, that's the thing, is like it's pretty much everywhere except for, I think, Gainesville is the only place that like is not in this picture when you look at the home teams. So once again, Florida, the SEC, just setting up Florida for success. We've heard it all year. What are they doing? They're controlling the weather now.
Hey, when I was in Nashville last week, it actually snowed where I live.
Wow.
Last Sunday morning.
That's crazy.
That's right. It was. I remember there people were talking about that in Florida that came through. So, yeah. All right. There you go, guys. We appreciate Brian hopping on here for a little bit to talk about this.
Grabbing me, guys. Enjoyed it.
We're going to have some fun with this the rest of the way. So remember, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave us your thoughts in the comments on these games, and check out all of our predictions, previews, all that stuff for all 8 games this weekend in SEC basketball. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.